What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. For those who are rewatching this video, welcome. In this video, we're going to cover a live Q&A of some of the most commonly asked questions that I get. I'm going to give it a few minutes for some people to join. So we'll hang out for about five minutes. If you guys are joining now and you can hear me, just post a comment in the section and we'll get this video underway shortly. And I'll let you guys hang out for about 5 minutes. So if you guys are just joining, or if you're rewatching this live Q&A, feel free to skip over this part, fast forward. If you're rewatching, again, we're going to hold off for about 5 minutes to getting into the content, so that I can get some more people in here. If we don't get too many people tonight, that's also okay. I'm going to go through a lightning round of commonly asked questions and answers, and then I will give a little bit of time for you guys to ask whatever questions you might have. So if you're here with only a couple other people, you're basically getting a private session with me tonight. So, that works out in your favor. So let's give it like 2 or 3 more minutes. If you have any questions right off the bat, feel free to drop them in and we'll start answering them. Overall, I'm going to save most of the questions until the end because I do have some questions that I want to cover in the beginning. Well, while we're waiting in here, we got a question that says, how to avoid IP issues with wholesale module? Should we only reach to brands and ignore distributors or wholesalers? Reaching out to brands definitely mitigates your risk of IP issues. However, I would not only reach out to brands. I would certainly maximize and use distributors as well. It's fine to purchase through a distributor as long as they are in communication with the brand on the availability of the product to be able to be sold on Amazon. So I found that in terms of IP issues, if you have a valid invoice from the distributor or from the brand directly, you will be able to get these IP claims off your account. That's one of the nice things about wholesale is that it's fairly easy to remove IP claims. I say that loosely because sometimes there are, different claims that might pop up that you can't get off right away. But any type of product authenticity complaint or safety issue, usually the brand or the distributor that you're working with will have some type of a valid invoice if you purchase the product, or a COA. Sometimes they require specific documentation, Amazon, and you can get that resolved. Important thing to keep in mind is that we can never 100% eliminate the risk of IP claims. They always happen. Even on brands that I carry direct, IP claims happen. Sometimes brands will issue IP complaints if you violate their MAP policy more than once. That's another thing to look out for. So, in overall answering your questions, purchase from the brand and you shouldn't have any issues. If you are purchasing from a distributor, make sure that distributor is aware of the brand's policies in regard to their products being sold and listed on Amazon. Hope that answers your questions. So we are getting a few more people rolling in here. I'm going to give it maybe one more minute and then we'll get the ball rolling. If you guys are just joining, let me know you're here. Drop a comment in the section, and any questions you have. If you are just joining, I'm going to cover those at the end. So feel free to rifle off any questions you have. I said this before, this is basically a private session for those that are joining, because there are right now not too many people in the session. I also have planned a lightning round of questions that I'm going to go through that I have been asked, that I believe are some of the most commonly asked questions. So in another half an hour or so, another half an hour, the session will be over. Another 30 seconds or so, we're going to get it underway. All right, guys, so I am sharing my screen right now. If you can see my screen, or if you can't see my screen, let me know, but everyone should be able to see it. Right here, I have a list of planned questions for a lightning round. Fire in any questions you have. We'll take those at the end. And for now, let's jump right into it. Question number one, and guys, where did I get these questions? So between the Facebook group, between comments on my YouTube videos, I wanted to pull some of the top questions that I find are most commonly asked questions, or they're, just really good questions that a lot of you guys can benefit from. And, in this live session, we can go over them and get perhaps, your questions answered as well. So if you guys haven't joined the Facebook group yet, I'll add the link to the description of this video. It's a private Facebook group, free to join, and you get basically one-on-one support in the group, any questions you might have. So join that group if you guys haven't already. I think it's going to provide you with some value. As a reminder, smash that like button if you guys do enjoy these videos and you want to continue seeing me make more content in relation to wholesale, come out with more videos. The only way I can keep doing that is if you guys keep smashing the like button. That gives me positive feedback, and it tells YouTube that the videos are going to show up higher in the search algorithm. So subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all of the future content that I will be putting out, and we are jumping right into it. So question number one, I want to get ungated in the brand Lego or in any other brand category. On the invoice, do I have to show 10 of the exact Lego toys, or can I buy 10 different kinds of Lego toys? Okay, so we're talking about getting ungated in brands. Specifically getting ungated in toys, most people will use a wholesaler known as EE Distribution, Entertainment Earth. These toys that you purchase from EE are not going to be profitable for the most part. They can be, but for the most of the time, they're not profitable. They are simply to get you ungated in a brand so that you can buy that brand through retail or online arbitrage and then sell it on Amazon. I used EE several times in the past. They're great to work with. They hook you up with a sales representative, and the process is very smooth. They're used to working with Amazon sellers. The question is, do I have to show 10 of the exact Lego toys, or can I buy 10 different Lego toys? So if you're applying for approval for a specific ASIN in the Lego category, you have to show 10 of that exact Lego ASIN. If you're applying for the brand, for a manufacturer branded category such as Hasbro or Mattel, you can utilize one brand such as Monopoly, and sometimes you might be able to get ungated for, say, the Hasbro umbrella category is what it's called. With Lego, I do know that for the most part, it's going to be, really not for the most part, all the time, it's going to be the exact ASIN. So you have to get specifically ungated for the brand Lego. There's no umbrella brand that you can get ungated for in Lego. So that is question number one. And guys, as I'm going through these, feel free to throw in some questions you might have in regard to the questions we're going over in this round. Question number two, what do manufacturers require you to have prior to setting up an account with them? Do you need to have your own website? What do they ask? So in terms of some basic requirements that you're going to want to have before you start contacting companies, EIN, resale permit, email domain. Email domain is your company name. So it's your name at yourcompanyname.com. That just makes you look way more professional. Do you need to have your own website? No. Does it help to have a website? Yes, it might be, and it can also be used as a marketing tool to direct a company's attention away from Amazon, right? We know a lot of companies don't want to sell to Amazon exclusive vendors, so you can utilize a website as leverage in that argument. So those are some things that they might ask in regard to basic requirements. Question three, have you noticed a difference in MOQ when you are buying from a manufacturer rather than a distributor? I always thought the benefit of buying from a distributor rather than directly from the manufacturer was that the manufacturer will want you to buy a much larger quantity than what a distributor might ask you to. This can be very true. A lot of times you might reach out to a brand and they have a very high MOQ and they have a very high reorder rate. So they might delegate you down the line to a distributor where you can purchase a bit of a smaller quantity. Another reason to work with a distributor over a brand is because the main reason is because the brand is essentially not, the brand might not always work with an e-commerce vendor, a small vendor. Most of the time, we might see some brands and they're really only working with, big companies, right? Maybe they're working with Walmart, or maybe they're working with brick and mortar stores only. So a lot of brands we might find don't work with e-commerce vendors, and they don't work with small vendors at all. So that would be a reason why they delegate you to a distributor, or you want to reach out to a distributor yourself. Just popping back in here to see if there's any questions. None so far, so we're going to keep it rolling. What do you mean by partnering with brick and mortars? How would they benefit in this situation? Am I using their storefront to shelf the items and they keep the revenue of those items that aren't sold via Amazon? This was a great question that I got from someone who reached out to me, and I wanted to include it in this because I've said in multiple of my videos, to increase your account closure rate, you can potentially look into partnering with brick and mortar stores. What does that look like? So, you can do that in a number of ways. One, maybe you know someone with a brick and mortar store. If you do, that's great. Maybe they're in your close line of friends or family, and then you can work out some type of a deal where you're utilizing their brick and mortar storefront as your online presence. In exchange, you're able to sell some products on Amazon and obtain some wholesale accounts. Maybe you do a profit share with them. Maybe you pay them an upfront amount for each account. Maybe they're simply just shelving the items in their store and you're getting the sales on Amazon. There's a number of different ways to do it. I would say the most beneficial and easiest way to partner with a brick and mortar would be to do it with someone you know or have some type of relationship with already. It might be a little bit more difficult if you're just, going into a brick and mortar or cold calling a brick and mortar to see if they would be willing to work with you. I encourage you to tap into your networks that maybe you I've had people reach out to me and say their wife's brother owns, a brick and mortar store. Someone in your line of communication might have some type of a store. And that could be a convenience store. It could be a gym. It could be, even a gas station, maybe a I don't know, like a small bike shop or something, or a guitar shop. Brick and mortar can be a lot of different things, and based on its niche, you can target your research toward that specific niche. So just going back to that point about, say, a bike shop. Well, let's say someone with a bike shop. Now you can target your product research toward bike companies, and you might be able to close a bunch of wholesale accounts contingent on the fact that you have a bicycle brick and mortar shop. And then you would explain to the company that you leverage your position through selling online, multiple channels. You show them your bike website. You tell them that you do sell on Amazon, and not all companies are going to let you sell the products on Amazon, but I can guarantee you your account closure rate for that category is going to be much higher than someone who only sells the bike products on Amazon. That I can guarantee you. For the sellers that ship to their own storefront and not from FBA, do they still get rotated in the buy box? So this question is referring to merchant fulfilled. So if I'm shipping myself as opposed to Amazon fulfilling the units, do I get the buy box? The answer is it depends, right? It depends on a number of factors: price, stock on FBA inventory. Is FBA inventory in transfer through different fulfillment centers? In those cases like that, we might see an MF seller gets the buy box. We also might see an MF seller getting the buy box if they're priced significantly lower than the FBA seller. Generally speaking, FBA gets the buy box more than FBM. However, we do have those certain situations, like I had mentioned, where FBM might get the buy box over FBA. So you have to really just look at the specific product listing and see what's going on before making a determination on that. Next question. So this one is in regard to, if there are multiple sellers for a product, how would my store be the one selected? So you would get rotated into the buy box. And we can actually jump here for a minute on Amazon. Let's just pull up a random product. I don't care what it is. I just want to show you guys. Something random. Oh, wow. Okay, so, like this. This is the buy box on the right-hand side here. You got your price, and then you have your add to cart, buy it now. If I press buy it now, I'm one click away from purchasing the product. That is the seller that gets the sale, right? You want to be here. Ships from Amazon, that tells me that it's an FBA product and it's sold by this company. So this is a third-party seller on Amazon, and they are getting the sale because they're in the buy box. Underneath here, for this particular product, it's one seller on the listing. So there's, we won't see the other offers, but if there's a multitude of sellers on the listing, then we'll see other offers on this product listing. And those other offers may or may not get rotated in the buy box. The main factors that determine who gets the buy box are lowest price is the number one factor. Metrics and age of account in terms of positive feedback, how many reviews you have, inventory levels. That's another factor that determines who's getting the buy box. There's several different factors. Maybe your inventory is an FC transfer. It's being transferred from one fulfillment center to the next. But the main factor is going to be lowest price. Amazon is a platform that is known for control and lowest prices. So they want to control the markets, and they want prices to be low on their platform because they want to compete. So they're going to reward the seller that goes down in price. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the platform. It's one main reason why a lot of brands, wholesale companies that you might talk to, have no interest in selling to Amazon vendors, because the price keeps going down. There's an ongoing deterioration of brands' pricing, and that does a severe disservice to the value and integrity of the brand's products. So that's how you would know, that's how your store would be selected for the sale, is if you get the buy box. Rarely do you get the sale if you're outside of the buy box. Sometimes it might happen. Most of the time it doesn't. Have you had any luck contacting brand owners via email? Sure, I'll use email sometimes as a screener to gauge a response, and then from there, based on their response, I might reach out via phone call, depending on what I get from the company. Any more questions? Okay, we're moving along. So the next question is, have you had any, just did that one. I'm curious as to how you go about calling companies. If they already have 2 Amazon sellers, what is the benefit to them adding 1 more? So this one is a good question also. At face value, there's not really a huge benefit, right? We could think of a couple. Benefit number 1 would be that you're spending more money with the company, so the company has another line of revenue in a wholesale account. But chances are the company is pulling back from Amazon, and if they already have a few sellers on the listing, what's the purpose of adding another one? And this is where we have to dive into some of our value propositions and learn why the company has pulled back from Amazon, so that you can really formulate yourself an argument for the company as to why your business is good for their business, right? It's a two-way street, guys. If you approach this as, hi, I want to sell your products on Amazon, you've already lost. Amazon should not come up right away in the conversation. It's really critical that you learn a little bit more about the company, determine what has been holding them back for so long, and why they're pulling back from Amazon. From there, you can formulate an argument and determine what you're going to say in terms of adding benefit to them. I'm new to wholesale and have received a few catalog pricing so far. However, I'm seeing that a lot of these wholesale prices are higher than what the product is selling for on Amazon. How can this be? Am I missing something? I've emailed their customer service, but no response yet. And this is happening with more than one manufacturer. Also, a lot of them are asking for a link to my storefront website. I'm new, so I don't have any items yet. Is it now necessary to have a website? Thanks. Okay, this is a multi-part question. Let's start with number 1. I'm seeing that a lot of these wholesale prices are higher than what the product is selling for on Amazon. Yes, you might see that actually pretty often. Oftentimes I'm faced with a situation where, great, we got a price list, but we look through it and it's a loss on every product. So, what good does that do? Here's one thing to keep in mind, guys. Always reach out to the company. Again, if they sent you a price list and it's not profitable, reach out and inquire for quantity discounts. A lot of companies will offer additional pricing discounts if you order a higher volume than what might be listed in their price list. A lot of companies, to weed out, kind of sellers who might not be so serious, they don't show you the higher tier pricing in the initial price sheet that they send out. So if it's not profitable off the bat, I would say don't rule it out just yet. Reach out to the company, see what they can do in terms of a price break. If it's still not profitable, then chances are it's just not profitable for selling on Amazon. And they're asking you for your link or website, storefront, whatever. So if you're just starting out, you don't really have any reviews on Amazon, still send them the link. Explain to them that you're a startup company and you're looking to partner with brands closely, and diversify your product portfolio, and just grow a company that is very focused on the brands that it carries. And that's going to be key, is showing interest in these brands, because if you're not taking this type of approach where it's a two-way street, you're not going to have too much success with sending them an Amazon storefront that doesn't have any reviews. You can also build out a website where you can either, have a Shopify store where you're listing products on that, with where you're actually able to purchase those products, or you could just have a landing page that looks nice that talks about your company and so on and so forth. It's certainly a plus to have, but it's not an absolute necessity. Next question: When do you come to when do you come to recognition that you need a VA? When you have money you're not rinsing in the business? This is actually a good question. VA stands for virtual assistant. There's foreign and domestic VAs. I have both. You can, you can use a VA to really leverage your time. So to answer that question, you should get a VA when the tasks that you're currently doing are taking away from your time to do more profitable tasks, if that makes sense. There's not a certain point in terms of, I need to be doing 20,000 in sales or 100,000 in sales a month. All right, time to hire a VA. I would say outsource as early as possible. If you can hire a VA, in the beginning of getting your business going, of course, you want to know the processes yourself, cold, front to back. You have to know yourself. But once you do, I would highly encourage to outsource basic and replicable tasks early. That's going to be really key for you guys in growing and scaling, because there's just a ton of tasks in this wholesale business where you can just easily outsource them. You can create an SOP and send it to a VA and train them to do it, and it'll save you 10 hours a week. This was a mistake that I made in the beginning. I was slow to hire a VA, and only more recently in 2021, the end of 2020 is when I started outsourcing more, and I'm continuing to try to outsource more and more, as my business continues to grow. It's extremely important. In order to scale a business, you need people and software. So you can't scale a business without one of the two or even both. So that's key in terms of scaling your business, right? I talk a lot about starting and then scaling. I would say the number one tool to scale a business is going to be virtual assistants, or employees for that matter. Software as well too. Software, anything that expedites a process is going to help you scale your business. Next question: I see wholesale sellers using repricers like Aura and others. Just wondering, what is the benefit of these tools? How do they work? What do these tools do which we can't do manually or using AMZ Repricer? So AMZ Repricer, it only reprices down. That's the disadvantage to it. Certainly use it when you're first starting out. The issue with it is that it's not going to go back up. The buy box might rotate. The buy box price might go up, it might go down. The issue with Amazon Repricer is that it'll reprice down, but it won't reprice back up. Automated repricers are great, and I couldn't live without one. If you have I would say any more than 5 SKUs, it's probably time for a repricer. Unless the prices on those products really don't move at all, maybe they're MAP products, and then it might not be necessary for a repricer. But I come from a background in RA and OA on Amazon, and as we know, prices can be all over the place in that department. You might buy it in the store for $50, and by the time you send it into Amazon, it's selling for $40. Or maybe you get lucky and it goes the other way around, and you send it into Amazon, it's selling for $60. So without an automated repricer, I wouldn't be able to keep track of all of my SKUs manually and adjust those prices. Automatic repricers adjust the price automatically in real time on Amazon, and you can set certain parameters to that you can instruct the repricer to do. Whether you want to match the price, whether you want to go lower a penny. Aura is a great repricer. I've always used it. It's pretty cheap in comparison to some other repricers on the market. Up to this point, I've generally been satisfied with Aura. I'm sure there's other great repricers on the market, but that you know, is my personal opinion on Aura. Next question, I'm listing my first wholesale product. What sell price should I input? Should I go higher or lower than what is currently in the buy box? I would say match the buy box price or go a little bit higher. And the reason for that is oftentimes maybe I'll match a price on when I'm listing it, and by the time it gets sent into Amazon, that price goes up. So now I find that maybe I'm actually the one bringing the price down because my listing is on it for $20 and the price goes up to 22. So now I'm bringing the price down, and then I have to manually go in and adjust it back up to 22. So I would say either match the price if you think it's going to stay at that price, or list slightly above if you think it might go above. Next question, I am just getting set up to start. Business bank account LLC set up, Amazon seller account. Any suggestions on any of the above? I'm in California and the LLC is not cheap. Do you have to do an LLC right away or DBA work? The answer is no, you do not need an LLC to have a wholesale business. LLC is just going to be, you know, for your own tax purposes. In terms of professionalism, maybe it looks a little bit better to have an LLC next to your name, but I can tell you that it probably won't be a deal breaker in terms of getting an account. If you're just starting out, I know California is super expensive with that type of stuff. So I would say hold off on the LLC for now. You can always change it down the road. All right, last question in this lightning round. It's been 6 months selling on Amazon, currently diving deep with brands, product line, and future goals to diversify. Any recommendations or tips to speed up the process? All right, so number one, if don't think about wholesale as expediting it as fast as you can, because you're going against the very nature of the business model. Wholesale is a very slow, step-by-step process that takes time to build. Years. It takes years to build a wholesale business on Amazon. You have to continue to develop relationships and build these relationships with companies and open new accounts. And, you know, some don't work out. Some work out. You know, maybe you're looking for an exclusive agreement. You have your most profitable items. Something happens, you lose an account. So like all these different things, it just makes wholesale a very slow process. And generally speaking, building a business is a slow process. And sometimes I have to remind that to myself, right? You know, often working in the day-to-day of the business, it might be discouraging if you contact a bunch of companies and, you know, you get rejected by most of them. It might seem like, oh my God, you know, we're not growing as fast as we need to be. But I encourage you to look at your month-over-month, year-over-year growth rate, year-over-year especially, because you're going to have good months and bad months. Look at your year-over-year growth rate, and if that trend is up, you are moving in the right direction. And be mindful that this is a slow process with long-term gratification if you put the time and effort in. In terms of speeding up the process, so to speak, the only way to really expedite that process in your wholesale business is to contact more companies. I say this all the time, but your bottom line is going to be a percentage and byproduct of your top line. So if I'm contacting 100 companies per week and my account closure rate is 3%, then I'm closing 3 accounts per week, and all those accounts might not be profitable. If I want to do double that, then I have to contact 200 companies per week, and then closing 6 accounts, you know. So it's a numbers game, wholesale. I mean, anyone will tell you in this business, it's a numbers game. It's a very sales-oriented business model. And in order to grow, you really have to work on those relationships, contact more companies, and seek profitable relationships. Don't just go for the low-hanging fruit that accepts anyone as a wholesale vendor. Attack, you know, and get your foot in the door on accounts that, you know, maybe they're telling you no right off the bat, but you can sway them one way or another, or you hear some leniency in their voice, that is the perfect time to close a deal that most other people are not closing. So that answers that question. I hope that helps. I'm going to get now to some of these questions we have in here, and then once we get to those, if you guys don't have anything else, we'll close out the session. We're approaching about 30 minutes right now, so let's jump right into these. I am creating an email template for when I contact the companies. Do you have Instagram so I can contact you the template and maybe you can review it and give some feedback? Sure, you can email me. My email is, guys, I can quickly look at questions. If you have more detailed questions, I do offer, coaching calls. We can get on an hour phone call where we can go in depth and explore some of your questions. I'm more than happy to answer a quick question via email. So, reach out to me if you wish. Which repricer do you recommend? I can only recommend what I've used, which is Aura. Again, there's definitely, there might be better repricers on the market. I've found that Aura is a very efficient repricer with very few quirks in it. Occasionally it'll have an issue, but their support staff is great. I know I personally know the owner of the company. He's great, and they have a great team there. So Aura is a good repricer, works well for me. Do you recommend starting by reaching out to distributors first or direct to brands while product sourcing? I recommend do it all, man. Like, if you find distributors, by all means reach out. If you find brands, by all means reach out. Brands, you might have to take more of a sales pitch type approach. Distributors, you just got to make sure that you are able to sell that brand on Amazon. So don't discriminate against either. My business personally, I focus more on brands. It's what I've had more success in. I'm trying to implement more distributors into my business this year because, believe it or not, distributors can sometimes be more profitable than brands. Most people think that the margins are slimmer, and I've talked about this, that the margins oftentimes are slimmer. However, a number of cases that I'm finding as I'm exploring relationships with more distributors, I'm seeing that there could be potential for more profit in that route. So do it all, and don't just focus on one or the other. Which analyzer do you use? I'm not sure what that's in regard to. If it's in regard to estimating the fees, I use Scoutify, which is associated with Inventory Lab. I use the FBA free fee calculator. I also use AMZ Scout Analyzer, which is also a fee calculator. In regard to how I go through price list, I use PC2. It's a software that has really helped me scale my business, because that was the number one time block in my business, was going through price lists, because I had so many and I didn't have enough time to go through it all. So between hiring people and utilizing software to expedite that process, I've been able to outsource some of that, take a little bit off of my chest, and focus more of my time on other things. I still do those things, but I've outsourced several hours of it throughout the week. PC2, it's a great software for going through price lists. Do you hire VAs? Yes, I do. I have a couple VAs. Thanks for your help, of course. And if anyone has any more questions, feel free to pop them in. We'll probably close out the session in another minute or two. I don't want this session to run too long. I know you guys got busy lives, so I want to keep this one short and sweet. What do you hire VAs for? You can hire VAs for a number of things, basically anything in your wholesale business. Personally, what do my VAs do? Source companies via reverse sourcing and storefront stalking. I don't do that at all. That's all a VA's job. Going through price lists, checking, reimbursement. So is Amazon losing my inventory? Maybe I have a VA go in and check and compare what we shipped to Amazon and compare that to what Amazon received. And then they might notify me of a discrepancy between that so I can get reimbursed by Amazon. That's a great job for a VA. Some people might say hire a VA to contact companies. Personally, I'm not at that point, and I wouldn't recommend having a VA do that unless you're running a very big business. You have to be doing something, right, in the business. Ideally, we want to build a business where we're removed, right? Where it's just a system and an operating procedure that's running on its own, but it takes years to get there, and it takes years to build a company like that. So I would say in terms of contacting companies, that is the meat and potatoes of this business. And I would not recommend outsourcing it as a beginner or even as an advanced seller unless you're doing some serious volume and running a very large business. It's been a slow process finding suppliers. Do you recommend supplementing the inventory by doing RA and OA? Yeah, I mean, if you have the time to do that, by all means, that's what I did for quite a while. Is throughout last year, I did them both together. This year is really the first year that I'm doing wholesale only. And I still do some RA and OA. I just know exactly what I'm going after. So I'm not going into the stores and scanning and maybe getting product. If I'm buying RA and OA, most of the time I know it's going to be profitable and I know how much it's going to sell. So it's oftentimes a direct lead or something like that. So if you do have the time to do both, and this is your full-time job, by all means, like attack it. Attack it from all angles. And it's all about, in order to grow a business on Amazon, it's all about what we call feeding the beast. So you have to constantly be sending in inventory into FBA. If you're not continuously sending in FBA inventory, you are going to fall behind in sales. And most of the time when my sales are down, it's due to a lack of stock. What percent of companies that you contact decide to work with you? That's a tough one to answer. To be honest with you, I don't have a percentage number for you. That you're probably looking for an account closure rate, what my account closure rate is. To be honest with you, I don't really know. I just know that, if I contact more, it'll be better, if that makes sense. So I can't give you a number off the top of my head. I can tell you that if I'm contacting 30 a day, I'm probably getting 5 price lists at least. If I'm not getting at least 5 price lists, chances are I need to retarget the companies that I'm reaching out to if I'm contacting 30 in a day. So that's right there is 5 price lists in one day. If I'm doing that, say, 4 times throughout the week, that's 120 companies. So that's 20 price lists for 1 week. And now I got to go through all those price lists. So you can see how the process can be very time consuming as you're contacting more companies, as you're closing more accounts. You have to stay very organized with this business model. What accounting software do you use? Personally, I use Inventory Lab. It has a full-on profit and loss sheet. It helps me track, expenses and different things like that. I know people who use QuickBooks and different things like that. Whatever works for you, talk to your accountant. There's other softwares out there targeted for online sellers as well. I've always used Inventory Lab. It's worked pretty well up to this point for me. How long did it take you to get to 50K in sales? You know, that's kind of like a loaded question in the sense that what it took, the amount of time it took me might not take you, and the amount of time it takes you might not take me. You know, the first year of selling on Amazon, I'd never hit. I don't know what the first of all is that 50K sales in a month or a year. You know, that's arbitrary in and of itself. Let's say it's in a month. Well, the first year I never hit 50K in a month. In the second year, I did hit 50K in a month, probably about in, I want to say, April time or something, like April or May, something like that. And you know, so there's a lot that goes into that. If you have a more specific question, I'd be happy to answer that. Do you suggest Inventory Lab or Seller Board? I know people who do use Seller Board and they're very happy with it. I've never used it. I used Inventory Lab and I can't complain. So that's what I would utilize. Do you do your own bookkeeping? I don't do my own accounting. I have an accountant. In terms of bookkeeping, Inventory Lab provides an automatic method for that. You know, so I can enter all of my costs into the products, and they're pulling. It has an AWS feed between what's on Amazon, the inventory on Amazon, and what sells and whatnot. So, you know, it's automatically pulling what's on Amazon in my seller account. So I don't do bookkeeping manually in the sense where I'm entering a sale and entering the price that the profit that I made on it and entering a cost. That I don't do manually. That would be impossible for me at this point. I would recommend not doing that manually, even if you're just starting out. I mean, that's extremely time consuming, especially in wholesale. Wholesale is a business based on volume, not margins. If you're doing volume, you're gonna have a tough time keeping up with every single sale that you make. So I would recommend using a software for that if you can. All right, guys, I know you might have some more questions, but I am going to wrap it up for today. I don't want this to extend too long. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer it. Join the Facebook group, Amazon FBA Wholesale Mastermind. In that group, I can also answer your questions in a more detailed manner. If you have any quick questions, I can do them on email, bsherman1897@gmail.com. Anything more extensive, you know, we can discuss the opportunity of doing a coaching call of some kind if that's something you'd be interested in. Thank you guys so much. You know, your support and questions do mean a lot to me. It helps me continue to grow the channel. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. And if you want to keep up with the content, hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay up to date. We're closing out for the night. Thank you guys. Take care, and we will see you next time.